Greetings all, this is Justinian the Great with my partner in crime, Sam the Car Guy, and welcome to our very first podcast. Um, this is something that me and Sam have been talking about doing for a while now, and we decided to finally kind of do it for New Year's. By the way, Happy New Year's, as this podcast should be going out on midnight, January 1st.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yep. So, before we get started with the podcast, I'd like to just discuss how the podcast will go. You know, as of this point, me and Sam have been known Sam has been known on YouTube for cars, but as far as a team, we have been known for Let's Plays. But this podcast won't just be about games. It'll be about music, life in general, as well as games and other things.
This podcast will really give you an idea of who Justinian the Great and Sam the Car Guy are behind the camera, without really getting behind the camera.
Pretty much, yeah. Behind the microphone, let's just say.
That's a better way to say it, yes. Perfect.
Yeah. Do want to say, though, that, so we don't mud up the works or don't really... you can't say too much these days without let's say muddy up the works. We will not be talking about politics or social issues.
If you want politics and social issues, go watch a news station. You can get all you want.
Pretty much, yeah, or go listen to talk radio or something like that,
Yeah, go listen to your NPR. This is Sam the Car Guy and Justinian the Great.
Or ASMR.
No. No. No.
Can you imagine political ASMR?
So Bill Clinton?
Yes.
Okay, that's as political as we're gonna get right there. All right, let's get this. Keep on going. Let's keep on going.
Yeah. Anyway, so we just passed. New Year's is a time. It's time of new things, but we kind of passed up a holiday. Of course, we did a video for that holiday, but I never did ask Sam, how was your Christmas?
It was very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I drove down to my parents and spent the week with them. Actually, the day that we're recording this podcast to get it ready for the New Year's, the New Year's Day podcast. So we are recording this on the 29th of December. So just a few days in the past. I actually just got back because after I went to my parents, we took a trip back to Texas, where I'm originally from, and visited some family there, though most of the family had the Rona. So most of them ended up canceling. So we were supposed to get home tomorrow, being the 30th, as of when this podcast is being recorded. Mm-hmm. But because everybody was sick, we just said, let's just go home early. So we came home the day. I was debating on driving back home because it's like a 2-3 hour drive from my parents' house. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go home afterward. And so I drove home the night. Not too bad. It was an enjoyable drive. No traffic, surprisingly. And then I got some pretty good stuff for Christmas.
Given how that... Oh, what'd you get?
I got a sound bar for my TV, which was really neat. I got an organizer for one of my crossovers. Well, I'll talk to y'all about my car situation because I am Sam the Car Guy, and I'm sure some of y'all are curious. What does Sam the Car Guy drive? So we'll go into that in a little bit. But so I got some neat stuff. I got some stuff from my grandmother and all kind of good stuff. What about you? How was your Christmas?
It was I have to admit, it was a lot more than I expected it to be because there are certain, it was very intimate. It was more of an intimate experience because it was just me and my immediate family. Due to current circumstances, we really haven't had a family get together for Christmas for the last two Christmases. So
Would you
it's
like to
really just
talk about
me
your
and my immediate
dad, or
family.
would you?
What's that?
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to leave that off the air?
I'll leave that off the air.
All
Uh,
right.
um, let's just say, um, you can see the current circumstances on the news if you have to. Uh, my dad is on let's just say my dad is on the high risk side of things. Uh, but anyway, so the last two Christmases have been more of an intimate, uh, have been more of an intimate thing, and basically it's just me, my mom, my dad, and my uncle. Um, and certain members of my family picky about their gifts.
Hmm.
Uh, there weren't many complaints the last two Christmases, so it was a really good Christmas. I would
That's good.
say my dad did well, my mom did well. Um, I did well. Renovating my dad's old workshop into an apartment itself. So essentially, I got a bunch of stuff over there. Uh,
Who is that
um,
coming?
if
Speaking
you're
of you,
curious, what's um, we're currently working on finishing the sheetrock. Um,
nice.
if you're not familiar with the construction process, I can go into a little bit more detail. But once you hang sheetrock, you have to tape the joints and put sheetrock mud over it, and essentially sand that to where it's when you paint it, it doesn't you know bulge out. So
Mhm.
it's a very it's a very I would like to say it's a very tedious process. So, however, we did finish my bedroom completely, and once we finish my closet, we can actually paint my room and my closet all at the same time, and then we'll just close off that from the rest of the house and work on the sheetrock, working on finishing the sheetrock and the rest of the house. Kind of just finishing it one room at a time.
Very nice.
Yeah. And we kind of start to have power over there right now, which is pretty cool too. Maybe once I finish my bedroom, maybe I'll camp out there a couple nights or something.
There you go. It sounds like it's coming along quite well.
Aside
I
from
know
that,
when
yeah, yeah, keep going.
I know the last time I was down there, you had made a little bit of progress, but you weren't as far as you are now. But it sounds
Oh
like it's
yeah,
coming quite good. So,
oh yeah, and of course, a lot of the apartment stuff I've gotten like the last 2 years for Christmas is stuff I can't use for a while. Like a microwave, a toaster. This year I elected not to have an oven in my apartment. I actually elected to have, just work it like not like a traditional oven, just work with smaller accessory type things. Like I actually got a burner, like an electric burner for Christmas this year. So,
worst case, you go outside and pull out the crock pot.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Not the crock pot, the cast iron skillet. No, cast iron stove. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll have everything I need inside. It's gonna kind of be like you know, certain things will be out, and then certain things you just take out of the cabinet as you need them. Like the burner, you take out of the cabinet as you need it. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyway, I also got for the uh before we get to that, actually, I also got a CD of an artist that I've been into for a long time, but I never owned any music by then.
Who's
Them, it's
that?
the Gin Blossoms. You might know them for a song called "Follow You Down" or "I Found Out About You."
I actually have a few of the Gin Blossom songs in my Apple Music playlist. I was
Yeah,
actually listening to one on my way home today.
yeah, they're a very good band. Probably I'd actually, yeah, they're my favorite band from the '90s. Probably.
Really, I would have never expected that.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot uh, in the type of music that I like going on in the '90s. I mean, wait, there was the Kenny Wayne Shepherd band, which kind of came later, but it's really Kenny Wayne Shepherd's later music that I actually really love. So
Yes, sir. On my phone, I have Found Out About You and the one you were talking about, Follow You Down.
both of those are great songs. Another one is oh man, the name um Till I Hear It From You. Till I Hear It From You and Hey Jealousy. That's a good one too.
We'd
Um
play those for y'all, but we may get copyrighted on that, so we're going to stick to just
I
original music on this podcast.
Yes, and after I finish talking, speaking of, after I finish talking about my gifts, which I have one more thing here. It's concerning my gifts that I got, and it was really a blessing that I got these gifts. Um, uh, Thank you to my mom. She's listening to this for getting these for me. But yeah, I got the Gin Blossom CD and a little, one of those little CD boom boxes.
Like in the 90s CD boombox, or I guess not 90s, but
No,
like
it's
early
like
2000s.
they call it a CD boombox, but it's really just a little bitty CD player. Um, she ended up getting one for me so I could play my new CD, and it also so I could play. I mean, I have a collection of a good 200 CDs at least. Uh,
Nice.
so obviously, I like to play. I'm a physical media kind of guy. I like playing everything from physical media. So. And speaking of physical media, for my particularly for our game fans out there, and specifically for the Vita fans I have out there who liked my Vita videos, something that my mom gave me for Christmas was a selection of physical Vita games. If you don't know about this, physical Vita games are very expensive right now due to the fact that um, it was sort of a low. How do you say this? They didn't produce very many copies of any of the games for the system.
Low
Let's just say.
production.
Yeah, it was sort of a low production system. Among those, I got. Let's see. I'll go through them one at a time. If you heard something fall to the floor just now, that was a game called uh, Akiba's Trip, Undead and Undressed. That's sort of a weird title. Don't think I'll ever do a let's play of it on the channel, but it's sort of an open world game set in the real life location of Akihabara, Japan, which is sort of like the center of video game and anime culture. And essentially, you're fighting basically vampires out in the middle of the street there. It's a very bright, colorful game. Uh,
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it is a very. It's got a nice cel shaded art style. I like the open world aspect to it mostly. Um, and they're also waifus.
Of course, that's what you focus on, are the waifus.
Yeah, the waifus. Then I got Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus launch title for the Vita. Ninja Gaiden, or the 3D Ninja Gaiden, the one that was released originally as an Xbox exclusive back in the early 2000s, is actually considered to be one of the best action games of all time. They re-released the game on PlayStation 3 later on with exclusive content under the name Ninja Gaiden Sigma. It was a remastered version, and Sigma Plus, with even more new features, came to the Vita as a launch title. That's cool. Silent Hill Book of Memories. Really like this one. A lot of people hate it. Basically, Silent Hill dungeon crawler. Silent Hill is normally a survival horror genre. Is normally survival horror, but let's just say it was kind of like Silent Hill's way of, you know how Mario is a platformer and Mario Kart is a racing game.
Okay. Okay.
I've only got a couple more, so I'm not going to bore you too much more with this. Tokyo Xanadu, which I was looking for something like another game, and somebody recommended to me Tokyo Xanadu, and I'm really liking that game. Only complaint is while it is localized, they never put English voices in it. So I just turned the voices off because usually, and I don't mean to sound, I don't mean for this to sound bad or offensive or anything like that, but for some reason, the the Japanese voice actors they have a lot for the games just kind of sound annoying.
Usually, when you say no offense, or I don't mean to send offense to this, it usually means you're about to say something that sends offense or makes somebody feel offended.
And I apologize if you feel offended, especially to those voice actors, you know. But I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just not me. Let's just say, you know.
A
And
personal preference. Some people don't like certain voices. Like some people hate the Fran Drescher voice, but some people love it.
yeah, I find it perfect as sort of a comedy. I find it perfect in a comedy setting, personally.
Yes.
Uh, Other than that, I got this is actually a rare one. Tales of Hearts are. Tales of Hearts was actually originally a Japan exclusive DS game. Tales of Hearts R was a remake for the Vita. Um,
Is that
the
related
physics
to your Trails of Cold Steel, or is that something different?
something completely different. The Tales series is actually a separate series altogether, made by a completely different developer. But anyway, Tales of Hearts R, the only physical release was a GameStop exclusive, so it's actually having a physical copy is fairly rare, even though it's cartridge only. And lastly, I got Trails of Cold Steel 2 because I liked the first one so much.
Oh, so
Uh,
you have been enjoying that first one then?
I beat it.
Really?
I beat it. I have to say the ending. I don't know if I'm not sure how I feel about it as of now because the ending to the first one. You ever watch a television series and see like the pilot episode of something?
Yeah.
Well, you know, and like let's say the pilot episode, the ending felt like the end of a pilot episode rather than a season finale, where it should have been because it's a 75-hour game. I would expect more of the epicness of a season finale than a pilot episode.
I
But
guess we'll get to learn about that as you play through it, because I believe you are probably going to be playing this game in the next couple of months. Am I right?
I'm I'm kind of up in the air about that right now.
You're up in the air about it. All right. So we may see it on your channel, we may not.
We may or may not. And to be honest with you, it's one of those. To go into that a little bit further, it's kind of like one of those series where if you play the first one, which if I did, you know, it would take us like a year and a half to do to let's play it. I'd have to do the second one, and while I was hoping that the second one didn't have so many like loose ends, the second one apparently does have a lot of loose ends, and therefore that's a it would let's just say if we did do the series, it would be like a 6-year commitment.
What you would probably have to do is multiple videos a week, kind of like what we're about to start doing with my Stardew Valley series.
Well, that's what I was planning on doing, and 2 videos a week would still be a 6-year commitment.
That's a lot of damn content.
That is. Anyway, before we go to break, so anyway, we're about to go to break, and we'll listen to one of Sam's songs this time. You choose, my friend.
We're going to play for you one of the more recent songs called Horizontal Rain. This
Which is
was a
the
song to
which is, by the
go
way, the
ahead.
song that Sam uses at the end of his Let's Play videos.
Yes, and that's why I actually want to start with this one because this is one that some of you will be familiar with if you've watched my gaming channel. Because to keep in mind, I do have two channels. I have Sam the Car Guy Games, and I also have Sam the Car Guy, which is where I will post more car related content, such as a full depth review of one of my vehicles. I will be doing another one of those in the next couple of months to weeks. I haven't decided yet. So if you're into cars, check out that channel, Sam the Car Guy, and maybe you'll see something you like, maybe not. So back to the song, Horizontal Rain was actually written. It is on my most recent album, which I am currently working on to finish. I'm hoping to probably finish that within the next year. But see here. It is on In the Shadows, the album In the Shadows. And Horizontal Rain was actually written while I was sitting at home waiting for a hurricane to pass.
So it makes
So,
sense that it's Horizontal Rain.
exactly. So, with that, here is Horizontal Rain by the Glorioso Project. I hope you enjoy.
We'll be right back. And welcome back. Hope you enjoyed Sam's Horizontal Rain. I know it's made it kind of It's a pretty good song to me. It kind of hit me like a hurricane because it was pretty much that much better than everything that Sam had done in the past.
I've really increased as I've gone. Even the most recent song I've done, which is more of a lullaby, I
You,
feel is even
you
just
mean improved?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think you've increased the quantity of music you've done.
I think just the quality is gone because I'm learning more about the system because a lot of I can only play a little bit of keyboard and piano. So I end up using GarageBand to do everything else and I do it all on my iPhone, which is really impressive. So
Well,
everything you just heard was done on a phone, which
well,
is to me super impressive.
yeah, it very much is. And honestly, I mean, you listen to that compared to what you did, like, your first album, Midnight Rock.
Hmm.
That was, to me, it's impressive to see how much you've managed to do with it, evolve with it, um, without doing too much of what you did with the Reigns Let's Play.
Yeah.
If you get
I
what I
didn't
mean.
beat a dead horse 30 times over.
I mean, the Reigns Let's Play was pretty much beating a dead horse. Nothing but that.
Oh, 100%. It was absolutely just beating a dead horse. At the end, we literally made reference to it. Okay, we're beating the dead horse one last time.
Yep.
And now we're doing
Uh,
Stardew Valley, which, tomorrow, or I guess in a couple of hours, since this is New Year's Day.
oh,
Um,
it'll actually be your first episode for the year is actually coming out on the 2nd. So
oh, that's funny because I won't even be home on the 2nd.
nice. Anyway, I thought after the break, I thought we could, look back at 2021 and look forward to 2022. What we're looking forward to that year, and look
Personal
back at
life or games or both, or like, how do you want to?
uh, you know, personal life, maybe games and music,
Okay, sounds
and
good.
music can be both. Actually, with games, it could be games that we played in 2021 or ones that came out in 2021. Music, it can be same. And it can also be music that we worked on in 2021.
So you asked me first on the first one about Christmas. So let's start with you on looking back at 2021.
It was it was can't really say it was an improvement over 2020.
I feel like
Um
a lot of people would say that same thing.
if anything it was sort of a downer disappointment.
Look,
Uh
there's a joke that 2022 is pronounced 2022.
uh yeah. You could almost make it like, have you ever seen how files work? Like if you get, you know, like if you get two files with the same name, it'll put in
Yeah,
parentheses one
yeah,
behind
number
it.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically, 2021 was 2020 parentheses one. 2022 is possibly going to be 2020 parentheses two. You
Perhaps.
know,
I guess time will tell. So tell us about 2021.
uh, you
What is your
know,
look back at 21? Or yeah.
well, I mean, personal life, I went on a couple dates. My love life is a mess. I don't really care. It is what it is. It'll work out someday. Romance just happens. It's not something that you plan. It's not something that it doesn't happen when you expect it to. It happens when you least expect it to.
You
And
can try
probably
to plan it and it just will not work at all. That is the
yeah.
worst thing.
And as much as we, romanticize it, we're romanticizing romance.
Yeah,
Uh
pretty much.
as much as we romanticize it and fantasize about it, it will never be ideal. It will never be ideal. I guess that's
To
what I'm
some
saying.
extent.
Yeah, it's never going to be I mean, will that person be perfect for you? Yes. But will the circumstances be ideal? Not all the time. Will that person be your ideal? Will that person be your ideal version of, like, I have a dream girl, will that person be the dream girl? No.
Sometimes, but maybe most of the time, no.
Yeah, but oftentimes the right person will be better.
That is very true.
Yeah. So, my love life sucks, but it sucks in 2021. It sucked in 2020. We could go on forever, but, I don't complain about it, but because it is what it is. I mean, I try to be me. The whole idea is I try to be me without having to, you know, depend on a love life to, keep me going. I guess that's why I found things like football, um, music, uh, video games, stuff to take up my time, stuff to occupy my time.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what all that stuff is. Speaking of football, uh, 2021. Uh, I should probably say I'm a big time NFL fan, and I'm a big time fan of Tom Brady. So congratulations to him for winning his 7th Super Bowl ring in 2021.
Very impressive. Number 7. That
Number
that
se-
man has been to a lot of Super Bowls.
he has been to a total of 10 and won 7.
That's an impressive number.
Yeah, and he did it, believe it or not, in a somewhat unprecedented fashion this past year too, because they were basically that team, the team that he is on. It was his first year with that team, and they just basically went against the odds in every possible way. And they basically broke every narrative that essentially surrounded the 2020 NFL season, which is
Nice.
impressive to me. Every stereotype and narrative was broken, shattered, thanks to the 2020 Buccaneers. I'm not going to bore you all about football, though. Uh, but yeah, and if I look forward to anything in 2022, it'd be a repeat, but I seriously doubt that.
Yeah.
So 2021. Um, you know, I hmm.
There is a lot of time to go. It is 365 days this year.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that 2021 was, 2020 really more so, or even more so with 2021 hasn't been in a year of like it's felt like an endurance round because myself, I'm 24 years old. I graduated college last year, but with the circumstances going on in the world, I can't, and the fact that I still live with my parents, I can't exactly look for a normal job. So I've been looking for a remote position, and I've gotten a few interviews, which is good. But, but essentially, it feels like my life should be moving more forward than it is. But I feel like it's just the circumstances that we're under in our time. If anything,
Yes.
if anything, I'll just if anything, if I can improve upon anything, I guess I can just look harder for a job. I my only New Year's resolution, by the way, is just to try harder at everything I do.
On
Whether
the
it
bright
be,
side, too, we got Justinian, the great YouTube channel out of 2021.
oh yeah, technically I started it in 2020.
Did you?
Yes, I put out my first video for the channel was funny story about that. I actually put basically the whole script for the video in the comment section of somebody else's. And basically because I mentioned that I was thinking about making a video about it, the guy said, "Well, I'm pinning your comment because you had a lot of great stuff to say." And it was about the Resident Evil 3 remake. And essentially the guy said, "I'm not going to do that though, so nobody rips it off." So, shout out to him. He goes by Super Jump Reviews. Um, but anyway, so like within the next week, I made my first video after that, and I actually did a Let's Play. I called it a playthrough at the time, but I did a Let's Play of Resident Evil 3 last year.
Nice.
So, but I got more serious about it this year, and Sam has actually contributed to the seriousness I've had for the channel this year, because honestly, you leave it up to me to self-motivate myself to, you know, like release videos and stuff like that. I'll eventually probably uh just procrastinate the channel away more or less. But Sam is actually, and I thank Sam for actually making the whole experience more enjoyable.
That's what I'm here for.
It's felt more like spending time with, an excuse to spend time with one of my best friends. So, it,
Indeed.
it's a very, you've made what once felt like work fun. So thank you for that, Sam.
It's my pleasure. I
And
enjoy it.
so yeah, you could say I got serious about the channel in 2021. And let's see. Question: Did another thing that happened was one of the biggest inspirations to me on guitar. I should probably mention that, if you didn't get this out of what me and Sam have talked about already, both me and Sam are musicians, and we each do our own individual music. Of course, you've already heard that with Sam, but I also do mine too. Of course,
Fun
I do.
fact, actually all of Justinian the Great's songs that you hear are original pieces by Justinian the Great.
Yes. In fact, the only one that wasn't was a piece of non-copyright music I used for the end screen of the Resident Evil 3 remake last year. Or rather, because technically this video is coming out in 2022, the year before last.
Do we can we consider it that if it's January 1st at midnight? Maybe.
I don't know. It's what it is.
Yeah.
But, but anyway, a big inspiration, and I play guitar, Sam plays keyboards. But anyway, a big inspiration to me, or at least a big inspiration to when I got started trying to go out on my own and do music, was actually Eddie Van Halen. He was my biggest guitar inspiration, and he passed away this past year.
Forgot that he died this year. It doesn't feel like it was this year. It feels like it was 2 years ago, which I
Yeah.
guess almost it was a year ago now. Since
Can you
it's
check to
January
make
20.
sure it was this year? Because I believe it was.
Let me see. The wonderful thing about doing these podcasts is we have cell phones right here. And Eddie Van Halen died October 6th of last year.
Well, it felt like this year, probably because Wolfgang Van Halen, who is Eddie Van Halen's son, actually released his first solo album this year with a tribute to Eddie on it. So I guess it actually hit me that he actually died when I heard the song. It's a song called Distance. It's a really good song. By the way, if I had to choose my favorite album that has come out in 2021, it would have to be Mammoth WVH, which is the album by Wolfgang Van Halen.
And again, we can't play any of these songs due to potential copyright, but we highly encourage you to go and listen to these songs that we mentioned.
Yes, definitely. But that
Give
was
support to the artists.
yes, definitely. Um, Fun fact: I actually did all of the instruments and all of the vocals on that album.
Very impressive.
Yes, of course. it makes it feel a little bit less when you're actually seeing it live performed by people that didn't do the actual music. But uh, I feel like the fact that he's entrusting it to his friends is a good thing, though.
Yeah.
You know, you got bands out there. I mean, I guess it's better than having bands out there like with no original members.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess I am mistaken about the passing of Eddie, but still, his I don't think I ever did talk about his impact as a musician on me. He was the first. Let's just say his influence was the first that made me feel actually proficient at guitar.
Hmm.
So proficient enough to want to record myself playing guitar. Of course, I've evolved as an artist since then, and you know, uh,
That gave us good hits like Mama's Spaghetti. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm going back to one of your original pieces way back in the day.
and that wasn't even my oldest stuff.
No, but that's the one I remember and I
Oh
will
yeah,
never
oh
forget.
yeah. But I mean, technically that was meant as sort of a novelty song. I Ain't No Guinea Pig, which is the song Sam is referring to, is actually meant more as a novelty song, sort of in the same sense as Disco Duck was in the '70s, um, or Santa Baby was in like the '50s or '60s or whenever that song came out, or I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. If you ever heard that gem of a song. If you ever heard that gem of a song. uh, it was all right.
Hmm.
It wasn't the most horrible thing in the world, but it wasn't the greatest thing in the world either.
It was an okay thing that the world has been blessed with.
I mean, it was amusing the first time around. It was like, why do you want a hippopotamus for Christmas? But like, uh, oh
Wouldn't you
well.
want a hippopotamus for Christmas? Think about it. Imagine having 1,000-pound creature just chilizo mojizo in your living room.
But what does it do?
It eats you.
Yeah, exactly.
Except they're vegetarian, so it doesn't eat you. It
But they
just
are a dangerous
terrorizes you.
animal to be around.
Oh, 100%. Look, hippopotamuses are assholes of the jungle.
Hmm. Uh, also, uh, uh, so yeah, I mean, I Ain't No Guinea Pig was actually meant to be a novelty song along the lines of that. I actually thought about making a novelty band at one time where we actually did nothing but comedy songs. Of course, the
We
guys
almost
that
did.
what's that?
We almost did.
Not with you, believe it or not.
I thought we did. Huh. Oh
Did
well.
we? Did we try to make a novelty song at some point?
I thought we did, but I honestly can't remember. It's been too long.
I mean, I know we tried the whole alchemy thing, which didn't work out. That was, by the way, a band that Sam and I tried, and the first, uh, well, I think Sam might have had recordings before that, but my first, my basically my first official record, what I'm considering first official recorded music, uh, was stuff that me and Sam did together back in 2017 under the band title Alchemy. It was basically one single, and it didn't go anywhere, and my voice sounded like crap on it. So my voice has improved
I
since
think we
then,
can
but
also agree that in a band we butted heads a lot, and so for sake of friendship, it would be best if we worked on our own solo projects and on occasion collaborated together.
yes, essentially that was. Although I would say we're probably closer musically today to actually being able to collaborate. But in the same sense, I'm more of a, where I'm going right now is more of a Gin Blossoms with. Imagine if Gin Blossoms had Kenny Wayne Shepherd as their lead guitarist.
And I'm always going to be more of a blues style rock type, whatever.
Well, that's exactly what that was. Kenny Wayne Shepherd is the blues style, and you know, it's basically blues rock. Basically, if you had blues rock guitarist over the Gin Blossoms,
I don't know.
you
'Cause I guess I haven't heard a lot of your newer stuff because what I remember from you would be more of your Maiden days when Iron Maiden was kind of
yeah.
your
Well,
big
Iron
influence.
Maiden was a thing for me at a time, and not that I never want to get back to that. It's just not me anymore. You know, it's kind of more. It's something that I still appreciate, and believe it or not, um I still consider a certain era of Iron Maiden to be the, let's just say, the what do you call it? The
The
like
heyday,
what's that?
the heyday.
No, like the stick in which everything all other metals should be measured against, you know. Uh
I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of what it's called.
yeah, the whatever that means, the scale in which everything should be, well, I don't know. Let's just say they
The
set the
gold
bar.
standard.
What's that?
The gold standard.
Let's say they are the gold stand. I still view like albums like Power Slave, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son as being like the gold standard that all other heavy metal should be, you know, judged against. And to be honest with you, I'm very disappointed in the metal genre to you know, to never go after that more creative aspect of what metal should be, and just sticking to, like, for instance, Judas Priest is about as generic as you can get, you know.
That's great value brand metal right there.
Yeah,
Still some decent music though.
they do, and even their newest album was pretty good.
I didn't know they were still making music.
Yeah, they are. Despite the fact that they're the only original lead guitarist they had, actually, a couple years back, had to step aside because of Parkinson's.
Never good.
Yeah,
Never good.
it's kind of a shame though that they never invited their other original lead guitarist back to the fold afterwards. But you know, we could talk the politics of music forever. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not anyway. Getting back to 2021, I also really enjoyed. There were also some, you know, let's see. There were also some games that I really enjoyed in 2021. Not necessarily all of them came out in the year of 2021. The one that did, Resident Evil Village, kind of took me by surprise at how much I really enjoyed the game. Um, Sort of blended the best elements of 7, which is a game I never really cared for. It essentially brought the first person perspective of 7 to the let's say the loot system and fun combat from Resident Evil 4, along with a more open world environment that as and not to mention the aesthetic from Resident Evil 4, as well as an open world environment, which to me really sold it for me. But you know, that was a game that I really enjoyed, and another one that I didn't get to play till this year. In fact, a couple of them that have been out for a couple of years that I didn't get to play till this year. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, a remake of a childhood favorite. Probably will eventually do a let's play of it on the channel sometime with Sam, by the way.
Nice.
Yes, and we'll do the remake because compared to the remake, the original's graphics look kind of dull. Really enjoyed that game, but seriously, they could have fixed the ball rolling puzzle. Anybody who's played that game will know know what I'm talking about. Anybody who hasn't, look it up. It is extremely frustrating. And lastly, probably The Evil Within 2, which was a 2017 game. Oh, and there is another one. The Evil Within 2, uh, best action horror game I've ever played. Open world and third person. My two favorite things for those things. Oh, and Stardew Valley, which Sam is playing on his channel. Really love that game.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for introducing me to that one. That is a really good game. And also Freedom Wars, which I will actually discuss Freedom Wars a little later in the podcast because it actually relates to a topic I have planned for later. Anyway, 2021, other than that, was basically just work. And me, Sam, and our other friend, we're going to call him Sasquatch for right now because he doesn't mind being called that. Me, Sam, and Sasquatch essentially went out, and I guess you could say it was for my birthday, and really had a good time.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Those are probably, that working on my apartment, those few games, and the channel. Oh, and Wolfgang Van Halen's album. Highlights of the year for me. And looking forward to 2022. More good stuff like that. And hopefully more good stuff, and maybe getting a job and earn some money to where I can actually buy stuff for myself and help support my family.
Nice.
Anyway, what about you, Sam? What can you? I kind of took up a lot of time looking back at 2021, and
Yes,
got sidetracked a lot along the way, but I feel it was all good conversation. So,
indeed.
anyway, back to you, my friend. What about 2021, and what about 2022 for you?
Well, 2021 was definitely a good year for me, but 2020 was also a good year for me because kind of going back to 2020 real quick. 2019, I graduated with my mechanical engineering degree. 2020, I got a job. And then I also bought my first house in 2020. I also bought a car that I really wanted in 2020, which I still own today. 2021, kind of looking back there, that was a good year. This was a good year for me because a lot of great things happened. Um, I ended up so the end of April or beginning of March, I bought a new car. Bought it first car I've ever had to go and get a car note for, but it's like I'm real proud of that because it's like it's the newest car I've ever owned. It's the nicest car I've ever owned. It's probably the nicest car I've ever owned versus also my parents have ever owned. So I'd say things have been really good to me. I'm still enjoying the house that I bought in 2020. I've actually been in it for a year and 2 months now. So that's exciting. I've done music things. I've been able to go out and have fun, do things with friends, hang out, go and do your birthday and on the coast, which was always a fun opportunity.
We'll
Met
have
a
to do it
girl.
again sometime. I'm
Definitely,
planning
definitely.
on hopefully, in a couple months now, planning another thing. It really just depends on everybody's schedules.
Yeah, just let me know. I mean, most weekends are usually free. I also let's see, when was it? A month ago, well, I guess 2 months ago, I met a girl. That's exciting.
That it is.
It's very exciting. In fact, we have our second date tomorrow on the 2nd, which is also exciting. And before her, the last time I went on a date was January 2020 with, I guess the best I could explain it, somebody who was completely insane.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me to go into more detail, I will go into more details,
I
but I'm
don't
going to
want you to
leave
go
that
into
up
more
to you.
detail. I
Yeah,
will
probably
say
for the best.
I will say this is not for the best for me saying this. As far as like my personal taste, like as far as looks are concerned, I like your last one better.
I mean, that's literally the only thing she had going for her, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, but that's obviously that's my personal taste. I like the dark hair and the. I think I like dark hair.
Yeah, this one is a whole lot sweeter and actually cares. That one, oh, you don't talk enough, and you don't talk enough, so we
We don't
shouldn't
need
date.
more
What kind of
details.
oh shit is that? Anyway, so that was that. So there's a little bit of look into Sam the Car Guy's personal life. Always an exciting, weird moment. And that kind of brings us to now. Everything seems to be going really well. Looking forward to 2022. I'm hoping to enjoy more time with my friends. I'm hoping to spend more time on the YouTube channels when available. I'm hoping to get to know this girl a little bit more, the one that I'm going to go hang out with tomorrow, which
Yeah,
is
not the
always
one that.
exciting.
Yeah, not the one that he dated in 2020.
No, hell no. You shoot me in the face if I go back to that one.
Yeah, I mean, Sam would literally if. So you're saying that you'd become if you ever go back to her, you'd basically be being uh Face McShooty from Borderlands 2.
100%.
By the
100%.
way, that is something I enjoyed in 2021. You and I actually beat Borderlands 2 together. I really
We
enjoyed doing
did.
that.
I forgot about that because we spent like a week straight when I had my ice day and I couldn't
Yeah,
leave the
and
house.
it was like, and we beat the game, and it was very enjoyable. Uh, you'll have to get the pre-sequel, or someone will have to do that one this year or something. If you have a week or something.
Yeah. And we might because Sunday it's supposed to snow and ice, so that should be interesting. I'll still have my
Yeah.
Christmas lights up because I'm a firm believer in leaving all your Christmas decorations up until the Epiphany. And so I'm hoping that it'll stick and I'll be
Well,
able to
yeah.
go out and get a picture without the snow around.
Well, as but as you and I think I should. I think it's okay to say this. Me and Sam, and the in the Catholic in Catholicism, the season doesn't end. Wow, I forgot when it ends.
January 6th. That's the Epiphany.
I could have
That's the
swore it actually
day
went
that
on to like the 12th.
what?
I could have swore you and I looked it up one time and we found out it was like the 10th or 12th that it went on till that it was considered over.
It probably does. I go into the Epiphany because the Epiphany is when the three kings made it to the stable, the manger, the that out back, whatever. When they got there, that's how long it
Yes,
took them
yes.
to get there. But so
Uh second Sunday. It's technically second Sunday of January usually. So that's
okay,
what I
okay,
just read on
so
the internet. Yeah.
got it. So
Um.
that's when the official end of Christmas is. So
Yeah.
leave your Christmas lights up until January 8th. Yay!
Is that when it is?
I don't know when is the second Sunday this year. I'm sorry, it's the 9th. I remember that now.
The
Yeah.
ninth. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you're going on your date tomorrow day,
The second.
and yeah, and that's 7 days later. Uh, it's the ninth,
Yes.
which is the next Sunday. So yeah, yeah. If you
And
do,
also for
if you
2022,
do have some
I'm
nice,
looking
if you do,
forward.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
You were going. No, you finish. You finish yours first.
I was going to say, so yeah, if you do have some iced-in days, that do let me know.
All right, will do. And also for 2022, look forward to continuing Stardew Valley. We ended up doing a calculation on how long it would take doing the current one episode a week, and it was like 3 years.
Holy,
So we are going to start doing 2 or maybe even 3 Stardew Valley videos a week. Right now, we're going to go 2 a week.
according to, speaking of, do check your when we get done, or when we get done with this part of the podcast, check your Steam account.
Right. I still need to do that.
Yeah. I sent Sam sheets, but maybe some will
Which is
potentially
always
turn
appreciated.
into a Let's Play for you guys.
So we'll check it out and
But
see.
hopefully something that will turn into a Let's Play for you guys. Yeah.
So I think we've rambled on enough in this section, so I think we should go ahead and go to one of your songs.
Did I let you finish?
I'm done.
Did I let you finish a minute ago?
Yeah.
All right.
The Stardew, that was the last thing I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, this time, this song of mine. This was actually the last song I actually finished recording. I can't remember when I actually finished it. It was either this past year or the year. I know I sent to Sam, and he was like, I forgot his exact reaction, but he said it was pretty damn good. So it's instrumental. I call it "Bayou of Feelings." This is Justinian the Great, Sam the Car Guy, returning back with our podcast. I hope you enjoyed my song, "A Bayou of Feelings." It's a very good song. Well, I wouldn't say it's a good song, but I feel like it's something that I'm proud of, and I know that Sam liked it when he heard it. So I
It's a
hope
good
you
song.
guys, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyway, speaking of 2021. You know, this is where I'll actually get into the gaming conversation. Something actually, I feel an obligation to my Vita fans for saying this, to say this, or let's just say I feel an obligation as a Vita fan to talk about it. And that's 2021, in my opinion, might actually be the last year of relevance for the Vita. Um, of course, earlier this year, we had a lot of news about it because of the store closure threat. In fact, both the PlayStation 3 and Vita stores were supposed to be closed, but Sony reversed that decision. That is a positive, but what they didn't reverse their decision on was the fact that after July, they would not accept any new Vita games. So the final new Vita games, the final digital Vita games, came out in July of 2021. Of course, we still have a few physicals coming out here and there, but they are so few and far between, and most of them, if not all of them, are limited release. Like there's only 1,000 copies being produced, and uh, if you're not there within like the first 30 seconds, you're going to be they're going to be gone and you'll never be able to touch them. And also some of those even are old games. Get like 3-4 year old games. Um so that was kind of sad news for the system as well. But I will say that the final digital Vita games uh did give a good variety in terms of um the kind of indie games that the system had gotten over the years. As indie developers were probably the biggest. Indie and Japanese developers were probably like small and mid-level Japanese developers were probably the biggest supporters of the system. But also there were two there were closures of probably two of the most important multiplayer games. There was the servers went down for them. Um, and those two were Little Big Planet Vita. Due to that, I don't know how many, like probably thousands of levels were lost and will never be able to be played again. And the base game is now useless. The same is true for the PlayStation 3 titles. On top of that, the Freedom Wars server went down, and I'll tell you something. Freedom Wars was something I bought at GameStop for like $5 in 2020. I never really got around to it. When I heard the server was closing down, I took the time and actually beat the game with other people because you could actually do all of the missions with other people. And I have to tell you, it was perhaps one of the best online experiences in a game I have ever had, especially considering that it was with random strangers.
Boo, Sony. Boo, boo, boo,
Yeah.
Sony.
Of course, Freedom Wars might actually have to do with something that I'm going to mention in a minute, but one of one of probably the big contributors as far as AAA games to the Vita was Japan Studio, and Japan Studio was considered defunct in 2021. So the fact that Freedom Wars was a Japan Studio game might actually have something to do with the closure of the server as well. With Little Big Planet, had to do with some type of hacks. Anyway, um, there were also several games related to, or let's say related to Vita games that were released during 2021. And for some, this could be a negative, and some this could be a positive. For people who obviously with games that were only available like portably on the system before that, being released on the Switch, that could be looked at as a negative because now people will have less of a reason to get one. But at this point, I really, the games are, well, I'd say the games have gotten to a reasonable price once again, especially the mainstream games. But to a point, if you're going in to be a collector, um, I'd say you're pretty much screwed with the prices these days. But say if you want to experience some of the, you know, better exclusives from the system, I'd say go for it cautiously. Um, but you could always say that it's less of a reason for people to buy one. But I kind of looked at it in a positive way. For instance, Tales of Arise came out this year, and Tales of Arise was actually voted at the Game Awards to be the best RPG of the year. And because of that, you had all of these uh, articles being published in the Tales series, best protagonists, like all the Tales games ranked, so on and so forth. And because of that, you had Tales of Hearts R, which was a Vita exclusive, was mentioned several times. So I feel that gave the system some relevance, if nothing else, a shout out. The Ninja Gaiden series had the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection came out this year. And for many Vita fans, that might be a negative because now people can play that on Switch. But to me, seeing all these, and to me, all the guides and all of the specifically you know, like beginner mistakes guides and hint guides, or advice for beginners guides that were posted about the Ninja Gaiden series this year, it made me feel relevant. It made me feel like I was playing a relevant game on the Vita once again, if nothing else. So it might have been a negative, more of a negative than a positive in a commercial standpoint, but from a person who owns the system, who already owns it, it was nice. Trails of Cold Steel 4 came out this past year, or was localized to the United States this past year, and um, as some of you may know, the first two games came out on Vita, so maybe that's a good place to start if you own a Vita. Oculus Trip, of course, I do have to go. I tried to stop. I do have to say with this one game that I have a big problem with it. But with the Oculus Trip series, um, they actually had Hellbound and Debriefed, which was essentially the first game in the series, essentially finally localized to the United States and released on modern consoles. However, I would never recommend getting that game because there was some fairly immoral stuff in the game. I feel that I must um, expand upon that just a little bit, though, because while I do like the second game, um, I would never intentionally promote the series as a whole because of the fact that there is a side mission in the first game where you have to bring a quote unquote cherry to the local BDSM queen. Now, in
So you're
some ways,
giving her your cherry.
in you how the mission is completed is it's a side mission, so it's an optional mission, but it's still there. The fact that it's still there is disturbing, and that's that essentially the mission entails essentially you can either bring her an actual cherry, which is extremely hard to find. Not sure, there are multiple shops in the game, so you'd probably have to go looking around. Or you could kidnap a high school student and bring them to her, which is very disturbing, in my opinion, and something that doesn't belong in video games. Of course, that's I I I, I firmly believe that. I will say that the second game refrained from doing anything quite that immoral, though, which I compliment the devs for doing that, and maybe that's the reason why the first game was never localized to begin with. Thankfully, the second game, Undead and Undressed, never did have anything like that in there. But
Sounds like
please,
they would have, though.
yeah, what, Undead and Undressed?
Mhm.
There are a few kind of weird things about it, but it's not that bad. Uh, I'm not gonna say there aren't a lot of sex jokes in it. Um, but anyway, of course, there's a continued relevance of Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley continues to get updates to this day, which continue to change the game as a whole. Of course, the Vita never got any of those more recent updates. In fact, the Vita version kind of feels bare bones to the original, but I would never encourage someone to buy a Vita for it, but I would encourage you, if you have the system, to get the game because it is very good. There are also I do have to check on something real quick. There are also Silent Hill rumors of a new Silent Hill game coming out this year. Um, and if I am correct, which I believe I am, the last official Silent Hill game was Book of Memories, which was a Vita game. So, not sure how much relevance that gives to the system, but I will say that the most recent, yes, in fact, the most recent installment in the series um was Book of Memories. I just had to check that on the internet. And indeed, last installment was Book of Memories. So, I don't know. And I already mentioned the closure of Japan Studio, which provided three of arguably the biggest titles for the system: Gravity Rush, Soul Sacrifice, and Freedom Wars, or rather most important titles for the series. There's also the announcement of The Wolf Among Us 2. The original was on Vita, and that's another game where that version isn't the best version to play, but I will say that if you do have the system, you should definitely get the original to prep for the second game coming out soon. I'm actually looking forward to that one because I really enjoy the first one. Love the film noir. Uh, two more notes. God of War Ragnarok, I believe, is coming out this year, and still the only way to play the first two God of War games is the Vita, and it's a great way to get a start on catching up on the series if you're not familiar with the series. So the God of War collection on Vita is a great way to do that. And Sly Cooper rumors. There are rumors that maybe Sly Cooper 5 is coming out, which I am very excited about. And I will say that either the Vita or the PlayStation 3 are great ways to catch up on the series because both systems include all of the games. Um, Not that necessarily all of these games. I guess my main point here is that not necessarily all these things directly refer to the Vita or give the Vita any popularity, but rather give a sense of relevance to those that play Vita. You know, like um in a sense like I said with Ninja Gaiden, where it's like I feel like it does bad commercially for it, but it's it's a good feeling for those that actually own the system to actually, feel like games that they play on the system are relevant again, I guess you could say. And that was the whole point of this, is that all of these games that I just mentioned basically have shot into relevance once again, thanks to all of the rumors and releases and announcements, and that's all I had to say about that. And that's and that I guess you could say that it was a big year for the system, and I don't see a year like this coming anytime soon. So Sam decided he wants to talk. As Sam mentioned, he wants to talk about his cars, and he is the car guy. So I'm going to turn it over to him. And if he has any thoughts on what I just talked about before he starts going into cars, go ahead.
I think
Floor
he
is yours,
covered
my
it.
friend.
I think he covered that enough to move on to the next part. So, cars. Earlier I mentioned I'd talk about what kind of cars. So, because I'm sure everybody wants to know, what does this guy who claims to be the car guy drive? And the answer may surprise you
When
because
I met
I
him, it was a
drove.
Mustang.
What?
When I met you, it was a Mustang.
Yeah, it was. That car has since been totaled because it sat under my sister's house and got flooded in a hurricane.
Wow, I never knew what happened to it.
Yep, sitting in a junkyard somewhere because it got flooded and totaled.
Nice car though.
After the Mustang, I bought a crossover. It was a 2004 Infiniti FX35. That was a fun car. For those of you who don't know, the FX35 was made by Nissan's luxury brand, and they used the underpinnings of the 350Z, which is Nissan's little sport car. This
Nice.
crossover drove like the sport car, and it was fun. It had the V6 from the 350Z. It had the rear-wheel drive platform from the 350Z. The only thing it didn't have was a manual transmission. It was only automatic. You could also get it in all-wheel drive, but the one I had was rear-wheel drive. Drove that for 2 years, and then I decided I wanted the more fun one, so I upped to the Infiniti FX45, which was the same car, with a 4.5-liter V8. That's a fun car, and that's probably the funnest car I've ever driven. I've driven a bunch of cars, mind you. I've driven Porsche Cayennes, I've driven BMWs, Mercedes, Audis, driven a little bit of everything. The old Infiniti that barely holds itself together because questionable quality of Nissan is still the funnest car I've ever driven. Now, it's very hard to daily drive a car that's 12, 14 years old. So my daily driver is a big mom car. It's a 2019 Mazda CX-9. I'd been trying to put my parents into a CX-9 since 2012.
So, is it a big mom car or is it a big mom car?
Yes. But anyway,
Do you
I've
need
been trying to.
clarification on the question, or did you get it?
Yes.
Somehow I feel like I just got the same answer, but okay.
Yes.
Keep going.
Anyway, so my parents, I'd been trying to put them into a Mazda CX-9 since 2012. And this past year, 2020, they bought a Jeep Gladiator. So when I needed a new car to daily drive, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to go buy the car that I've been pushing for years. So I did. Greatest daily driving vehicle I've ever driven. Actually, I just got home today from my Christmas trip. The day that I'm saying is the 30th, or I guess the 29th, because it's now midnight. And
we're recording this late at night.
Yeah, 1,300 miles, 26 miles to the gallon. Great three-row crossover. If you're in the need for a family car, I highly recommend it. Do your research, though. Make sure that it works for you. Then I also have an old Dodge truck that I use when I need to do truck stuff. So those are
I never
the
knew
cars.
you had that.
Huh?
I never knew you had the truck.
It's there. It was my dad's truck, and then they got the Jeep, and they didn't need it, so I got it.
I felt like I've always kind of wanted to get one of those old like Isuzu trucks, just as like a maintenance truck or something. To
Parents had a 94 Isuzu Pia, and that was a really good truck.
gotcha. You don't see too
So,
many of them anymore.
no, what's funny about it is I believe it was based on the Chevrolet S10. It was, or the early 90s ones were, the ones that came out in the 2000s, they were based on the Chevy Colorado.
Hmm.
Because they were kind of it was a shared platform with General Motors.
Gotcha.
I think at the time, I think General Motors may have owned Isuzu. Don't quote me on that.
Thought it was
Now we
owned
know
by.
what
I thought it was owned by Nissan.
it was General Motors because they shared a lot of cars. The Isuzu, what was the Ascent, the Ascender, whatever it was. It was a little SUV. It was on the same platform as a GMC Envoy.
Okay.
So that's the car guy cars. I'm sure we're all curious. What does Justinian the Great drive?
A 2010 Honda Civic Coupe.
And that's a fun little car.
It actually is a very fun car. Um. Uh. It's probably I kind of when I bought it, I kind of was going for the best of both worlds. I had the choice between three cars. Basically, four-door Honda Civic, a white Honda Civic too, so kind of a basic color. Um, Mine is gray, by the way. Still basic, but I still like it better than white. Um, a I'd like to say an early 2000s mod. No, not early 2000s. I would say mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s Mitsubishi Eclipse. Nice little sports car.
Is that a
But
2010?
I might have been in 2008. I'm not sure.
I can't remember when they were doing it. That generation of the Eclipse kind of looked like a Nissan 350.
Kinda, yeah. And it's a nice car. The whole idea, I wanted the gas mileage of the Honda and the sporty look of the uh the
The Mitsubishi.
the Mitsubishi, and I kind of went for the Honda Civic Coupe, which kind of had the best of both worlds. It's good
Fun
on
fact:
gas.
the last girl that I dated in 2020 drove a Honda Civic Coupe.
You trying to say something about me?
Are you a basic white girl?
Mm, never did like that term, but oh well, I guess I am.
Hey, the first key to recovery is acceptance. You're a part of BWA, Basic White Girl, or BWGA, Basic White Girls Anonymous. 12 steps on how to heal yourself from being a basic white girl. The first step being acceptance.
Hey Sam.
You gotta tell me to shut the hell up because I will.
Uh, uh, no, I was gonna say screw you.
This is how you can tell we've been friends for a long time. We're perfectly okay with insulting each other on live air or semi live air.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this is probably a good point to.
Good point. Good point to take a break, and I'm sure you're tired of my droning, and you know, might want to hear more of Sam's talk in the car talk in the future. So he will probably talk more about it in future podcasts. But anyway, we're gonna take a break. Come back with messages for 2022. So this time around, we're gonna do a song by Sam. What song you want to do, Sam?
So we are going to take a good listen to semi classic, one off of the out of the Office album. It was called The Office Blues. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, The Office Blues by Sam the Car Guy. No, I'm sorry. The Office Blues by the Glorioso Project. Enjoy.
We'll be right back. And we're back with, for right now, Sam and Justinian and Sam podcast. I don't know what we're going to call it. We're probably going to come up with an official name for it in the future. And you just listened to Office Blues from Sam's Out of the Office record. Really enjoyed that one, Sam.
Excellent.
Anyway, so during this last segment, I thought I would give a personal message to people out there, during 2022, for the year 2022. We have, we always make New Year's resolutions, or many people have a tradition of making New Year's resolutions. And many of us really don't stick, to be honest. But I feel like I have one that maybe you can stick to, and that is be your own person. Just because everybody else likes something doesn't mean that you have to like it. Just because everybody else doesn't like something, and we're specifically talking about, we're I guess I'm speaking in terms of, like, personal taste type of stuff, like books, literature, movies, music, games, everything basically in that sort of spectrum of things. And I guess in other ways too. But, you know, thing is, every place I go or everywhere I've gone, I've always heard, everybody's a critic. Well, everybody should be everybody shouldn't be the same critic, I guess you could say. Like everybody I hear criticizing movies, essentially, basically, it sounds like the same criticisms film critics like Siskel and Ebert give to them. That sounds like their brain is like stamped with uh like Siskel and Ebert's book on what makes a movie great, essentially. And critics are there obviously for a purpose. Sometimes that purpose, of course, is questionable. But what I'd like to say is their standards don't necessarily have to be your standards. You know, if you like something, who cares if everybody else thinks it's crap? You like it. If you don't like something, who cares if it's the most critically acclaimed thing in the world? You don't have to like it just because everybody else does. And you don't have to have the same standards as everybody else does when it comes to what's a good movie and a bad movie, or, a good game, bad game, It's essentially, but I guess I get frustrated when I hear the same criticisms from everybody as if no one has their own standards and everybody just adopts everyone else's standards or the critic standards. And basically everybody has become as meticulous as critics are, and in the same ways, I guess you could say, criticizing the same things. I don't know if you get my point. I hope you do, but I guess the point is what you like should be based on your own standards what and not the standards that critics or anyone else set forth. It should be based solely on your own standards, and that goes for, as I said, video games, music, movies, television shows, literature, and everything else like that. So I figure, you know, I think that's a good. I figure, that might be a good New Year's resolution to make, is to um become your own person in that sense, as far as what you like and dislike and why you like it and dislike it, you know? Because if you like it, and no amount of nitpicking or criticism should change that. And I could tell you for one, me and Sam are in some places similar, but totally different as far as what we like and dislike in terms of that kind of stuff. And it's what makes us who we are, though. And you know, while there are other things there too, of course, outside of the media, and of course there should be other things there. We all have our own individual beliefs and all of that. So, and that's what makes us us. So, I guess what I'm saying is become your own person. Don't be, as especially when it comes to taste, because if I say become your own person, there can be, some negative reaction. There can be some negatives to that, Um, I don't want to expand too much on that, but I do want to warn that there can be negatives to that, and that's why I wanted to specifically target, the media sort of stuff there. Um, because, you could argue that everybody has their own set of, for instance, I guess what I'm talking about is everybody has their own set of morals, but I do think there are some objective moral wrongs and moral rights, and I think that we should stick to those moral rights and moral wrongs, I guess you could say. And yeah, don't become your own person in that way. become your own person, and I guess in what you like and dislike, and just stop following the in crowd. I guess is what I'm saying.
Good.
Anyway, you got a personal message for 2020 to everyone for 2022, Sam?
Yeah, I do. Listen here. Okay?
I'm
Don't do
listening.
crack. Don't do crack. No matter how much your mama tells you should do crack, don't do crack.
What kind of messed up family is that their mother encourages them to do crack?
Look, don't do heroin either. That stuff's just as bad for you.
Oh, it is.
If
I
you're
mean,
gonna do anything, do Little Debbie's.
I'm more of a hostess guy myself.
Tell you why you're wrong. Freaking Little Debbie's honey buns. That's the stuff right there. That stuff is more addictive than freaking heroin.
They're all right, but I will say that they're a little bit better than other honey buns.
Now, the best honey buns are the ones you can buy from Sam's.
I've heard that before.
The big, thick bubbies.
So, anyway, no other. I mean, I know that you were you were jokingly serious with that. No real serious message for the one that people shouldn't already know.
Don't be a sheep. Get out there and make your own opinions. Don't agree with somebody because they make you agree with them. Do your own research. Make sure that what you're agreeing to, you personally agree with. Otherwise, don't agree to it. That
Yes,
goes in life, that goes in politics. Make sure that what you agree, what you think is correct, that is your opinion.
yeah.
And nobody else can change your opinion. Well, they can, but don't let them.
Feel like that almost goes along with what I was saying.
Don't do crack. Don't do heroin. Don't do drugs. And don't let your New Year's resolution go 3 weeks and then say, I'm done with you. You pull this thing to the end. You start a New Year's resolution. I want to see you finish that New Year's resolution on December 31st, 2022. Let's go. Let's get it. Pieces before heases. This is Sam the Car Guy. That's Justinian the Great. And now we're going to listen to one of Justinian the Great's songs.
Yes, and this particular song is one that will leave us on. You know what? This is going to be one that will leave us on something of a comical note. Please know that this song was written in a tongue-in-cheek sort of fashion, and it's not directed at anyone specifically. In fact, you could probably even hear the hypocrisy in the lyrics, in the expression of the lyrics themselves. This is a song that I call Stone Cold Bitch.
Long story short, this is a song written to Justinian the Great's ex-girlfriend.
It actually wasn't even directed, surprisingly.
You're ruining the moment.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, here it is.
Here
Stone
it
Cold
is,
Bitch
and
by
Stone
JFS.
Cold Bitch by Justinian the Great. And um I'd say this was pretty good for our first podcast, Sam. And we will see you guys. We're looking to maybe make this a monthly thing, maybe not. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, this is Justinian the Great and Sam the Car Guy signing off.
Here it is.
Stay safe
One
out there and have a good one.
Here it is, Stone Cold Bitch by JFS.
My baby, she been treating me bad. My baby, she been keeping me sad. My baby, oh, she's nothing but a stone cold bitch. I told her to leave me alone. To throw me a bone. My baby, oh, she's nothing but a stone cold bitch. She's a bitch, but I don't let it get to me. No. I got my guitar, and I just play my guitar, and I just let it go, just like this.